the finale of the MiHoYo Screen Actors Guild arc.
I returned today to some crazy news. We've got an update in the voice actor stuff
Hey, Hero Hei.
over here on the subreddit for Honkai Star Rail, that being a Hoyoverse.
Also, I feel really bad because I haven't had time to like look into the VTube studio stuff.
Game for those that don't know.
Well,
We've got the title. Caelus and Stelle have been officially recasted as of version 3.3. Now, as you guys know, I do play Genshin, but I don't actually play Honkai, so I'd like to get some additional context here at GoToGamers.net. We'll just spend like 30 seconds reading the key areas here at the top, where they say, Honkai Star Rail version 3.3, The Fall at Dawn's Rise, dropped on Wednesday, May 21st, with 2 new 5-star characters in Hyacinth and Cypher, as well as tons of other additions. However, the update also featured a surprising change as the voice actors for the game's main character, the Trailblazer, have been replaced. Since the game's launch in April 2023, the Trailblazer has been voiced by Caleb Yen, Caelus, and Rachael Chau, Stelle. So this is basically like the Honkai version of the Traveler in Genshin. Let's take a look and see if the voice actors who got recast have issued any statement on this yet. Hopping over to Twitter first for Rachael Chau. We can see the bio does still say ENVA for Stelle. And scrolling down, there is nothing as of May 5th. That's the latest post. But her pinned tweet does say, making the jump. Follow me on Blue Sky at the same handle. Chau for now. I'll keep Yield Twitter up so you can find me and to protect this glorious handle. All right, hopping over to Blue Sky.
Okay.
We can see Rachael Chau is also here, but interestingly enough, on Blue Sky, her username is a little bit different, including she, they in the username. Interesting because on Twitter she put she, they in the bio, but over here it's in the title. I don't know. Is that a Blue Sky thing or something? I have no idea. But the bio does still say ENVA of Stelle and Honkai Star Rail. And similarly to Twitter on this part, no activity lately and no statement issued about the recasting. As for Caleb Yen, he does also still say Trailblazer in his bio. But I don't believe he's on Blue Sky, so all we'll take a look at is
so like,
this
did they
Twitter
not
account.
know? So like, did they not know about it? They just like found out like randomly. Like, did they find out at the same time everyone else did?
And there's even less activity.
It's possible that they found out at the same time as everyone else did, and like they don't want to say anything because of like legal stuff. There might be like legal stuff going on, right?
Pin tweet from 2021, and the last post actually from back on December 5th, 2024. Let's actually return to the Blue Sky account for Rachael Chau, though. I found something that gives some more context. So 2 months ago, we got this Blue Sky post from Shar that says, to Rachael, so glad you could find happiness and have a great day. I miss you a whole lot in Honkai Star Rail, and I send weekly feedback requesting them to sign the interim agreement for AI protections, so you and the other...
The AI protections thing? Again, MiHoYo already has that in their stuff. This isn't about that. They keep bringing it up. They keep bringing it up that it's the AI protections thing. It's not. They just don't want to be, they don't want to be in union.
Wonderful actors can get back to voicing our beloved characters. Hope for positive news. Now, hopefully, as you know, and something we've talked about extensively on this channel for a few months now, obviously the interim agreement is about a lot more than just AI protections. That's like the whole Trojan horse thing, the whole like manipulative part that a lot of people have been criticizing the VAs, SAG, the agreement for, to put it simply, of course. But I suppose I'll add on to this really quickly for anyone
so
who
if you're just following along, I'll give you like a quick recap. Basically, there's MiHoYo. These are Asian projects, right? These are projects out of Asia. They need voice acting for their video games. So these are mobile games, and basically the Screen Actors Guild is getting involved with it, saying that they want AI protections. But what they actually want is they want the projects to go union, which means that nobody else except for Americans that are in the Screen Actors Guild can work on it. And they're using the guise of saying like, this is because we want AI protections. The union wants AI protections. They're trying to use that as like the reason publicly for strong arming MiHoYo into becoming union. But MiHoYo already has in their contracts that it already has AI protections written into like the individual contracts. So there's no need for it. So basically what they really want is they want the project itself to become union again, which means the union would control everything and they'd be able to force like any future people to have to be union in order to join. And that's unfair again, because it's an international project to basically make it so they can't hire people from other countries.
be out of the loop on this still.
And also people that are like more indie. like non-union voice actors.
And essentially, one of the biggest issues is that the agreement and these VAs and SAG are trying to flip these games, Hoyoverse games and other games, to be union-only games, which would come with a lot of negative repercussions for VAs who are not a part of the union, such as forcing voice actors who don't want to join the union into joining the union and having to pay those members' dues, or risk being terminated from their positions, from their roles. Nevertheless, Rachel Chau responds and says, "Aw, thank you so much. That is really so kind and helpful of you. Hoping for good news soon, too." I guess that didn't age so well, did it? Here's something really funny. So back on the subreddit Honkai Star Rail and the post that we read earlier about this recasting news, you can see a top comment here says, "So it's like Kenichi and Genshin, only new lines for now. Older will be replaced in the future. So it'll be a mix of both VAs for now. There is also lots of NPC VA changes, not even for Yen, but looks like for JP also." The response saying,
the thing that's so ridiculous about this, by the way, is it's not allowed. It's technically not allowed for union voice actors to work on a non-union project. It's technically not allowed. But what they did was they had a bunch of union people go in there and like work anyway. And then they're like, oh, now we want it to be union. So it's almost like a bait and switch, basically.
And hope that this means we could still get a recast for Paimon. I will play the heck out of Genshin if they recast Paimon. Give her free runs English VA and I'm sold. So you can see that the people's dreams for a Paimon recast is still holding strong, still very much alive. Maybe more alive than ever now. An interesting point at the top about
Trojan horse, yeah,
the Kenichi
exactly,
situation
Gato, exactly.
and these VAs getting replaced. I do wonder if when we see the announcement of who the new VAs are for the Trailblazers and Honkai, if we'll see, just like we saw happen to Jacob Takanashi, the new VA for Kenichi, that a certain clique of very toxic English voice actors and SAG-AFTRA bootlickers and their supporters will try and harass the new VAs too, just like they did to Jacob Takanashi. Of course, they all know very well how much backlash they got for that situation, though, so perhaps this time they won't actually do it, even if they really want to. Maybe now they'll be scared of all the backlash that they will get from the communities and the internet at large.
They overplayed their hand. They thought that they had the community sympathy so much that they could be vile to the individual voice actors that were involved in this, and basically the community didn't buy into their bullshit and was like, no, you guys are toxic as fuck. It completely turned on them, basically.
It's really crazy how big of bullies these people are. We literally saw some VAs on Blue Sky saying that people like Jacob Takanashi deserve to be harassed even more, and saying stuff like, oh, back in the good old days of unions, people used to get physically assaulted for being scabs, and trying to make it sound like, oh, Jacob Takanashi got off easy, and all the fans mad at us really shouldn't be mad at all. By the way, let me also clarify something. This comment we read a moment ago that I said is a top comment is in fact the top comment in the thread, both sorted by top and also sorted by best. Come on, Reddit, what are you doing? There we go. Okay. Speaking of people upset on Blue Sky about this news and getting mad at the fans of these games, there is some stuff we'll take a look at in a moment where, yeah, there's more people mad over on Blue Sky. But first, let's hop over to the Genshin Impact subreddit. We took a look at Honkai Star Rail. Now we'll read some over on our Genshin. This post reading, the VAs for Honkai Star Rail main characters have been replaced, which we share the VA of Gaming with. So I guess he'll be replaced soon. A quick side note about that. Do you guys remember when Gaming was released and people in the community were making memes about like gaming, like, wow, they really released a character in a game whose name is Gaming? And then you had a bunch of Twitter cops who are probably now in Blue Sky saying that it's very offensive to make fun of his name. Like, you guys shouldn't be doing that. It's like racist. It's a Chinese name. And it was like some of the most brain rot stuff ever. To take it even further back, it was like when people were mad about the John Lee memes. Oh, you can't call John Lee. That is so problematic, guys. Oh my gosh. Now, look, really quick, as much like fun as I'll make at Blue Sky, which is completely justified, by the way, completely justified. I will say, as mentioned, that I have seen some like actually like cool artists on Blue Sky. So I always feel bad for the people that are on Blue Sky that just went there to like share art and stuff and are like not weird. But my gosh, man, that whole website has some serious brain rot issues. It like Twitter is still bad, but I'll say that it got a little bit better. Maybe even more than a little bit better, because a lot of those sort of Twitter got people did go over to Blue Sky. That's a fact.
What he's saying is that Twitter was pretty toxic and got better when all the people who said that they're leaving Twitter for the toxicity actually made it less toxic on. So the people saying we're leaving Twitter because it's so toxic and they left for Blue Sky And now Twitter's less toxic? Is that what he's saying?
And so, like, while the levels have bounced out a bit more on
That's
Twitter,
funny.
it's like
Twitter is like, I mean, I'm gonna be real though. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna lie. Twitter is kind of fucked. It is kind of toxic, honestly. Like Twitter is kind of toxic. There's a lot of like toxic stuff on there. But you know what? You know what's toxic is the opinions of random people. Anytime you allow anyone to say what they want, in a lot of cases anonymously, there's going to be some bad and evil and disgusting opinions. That is a part of existing in a space where everyone can speak freely. It is simply a part of that. You can't really have a free speech place if you can't have a place that has free speech while also protecting you from opinions you disagree with. It's not possible.
Blue Sky is completely out of balance. There's just so much brain rot there. It's crazy. But going back to this Genshin post about the VAs recasting stuff, most of the responses at the top are responding to the question about like Gaming potentially getting replaced. But here's one that talks about VA stuff in general, saying, what are the odds for Zack and Sarah, Aether and Lumine's VAs, these being the travelers, the main characters in Genshin, to also be replaced? I would also understand if they do that, but not gonna lie, I like them so much, I'd be sad if / when that happens. Now, I don't know anything about Sarah, but I will say about Zack, I actually met him years ago, completely through chance at Anime Expo. I was walking around the exhibit hall and he came up to me, we start talking. He mentions he's a voice actor for Genos on One Punch Man, because at the time, I think that was his only like notable role. This was way before Genshin, this was before Tanjiro and all that. Cool. And yeah, he seemed like a pretty cool, hardworking, chill dude. And I'm assuming all these years later, he still is. I haven't really kept up with him, but I can only say good things from my experience with him years ago. So I'm assuming, as mentioned, he's still like that. Point being, I
don't know any of this. I only watch the originals. I only watch subs, so I don't know any of this stuff.
Seems like one of the good VAs out there, and I do hope this all works out for him. Taking a little more of a look through this thread before we move on to the Blue Sky anger. This next comment reading, I just hope they won't recast Zack. Him, Zhongli, and Ito VAs are the only ones I hope don't get recast. And then this one reading, apparently we have...
There's only one thing where there are two things in which I will only watch the dub. And that is one, Dragon Ball. I only want to watch the dub for Dragon Ball. And the second is for Princess Mononoke, because Billy Bob Thornton is the monk. And it's the funniest thing ever.
The found out portion of Fatho. It's sad too. I do enjoy the current swatch of ENVAs. I really do. But at this point, the game has been revealed.
Oh, that's true. I forgot. Third, Ghost Stories. You're right, Gato. You're right. 100% right.
The jig is up. Everyone knows the truth about the strike.
Ghost Stories, A Time to Screw, and Sextra Credit are the other dubs that I do watch. Yeah, those are superior to the originals.
And its real goal. And I'm frankly tired of having my game enjoyment held hostage by people who should have quite frankly known better. And another comment wanting Paimon to get recast, reading, I hope they can now also recast the white flying turd we have flying right next to us. That takes us over to this exchange back on Twitter, where a Genshin YouTuber said, I really wish there was a better outcome for the English VA situation. But as soon as Hoyo started replacing people, it was evident that they were fighting a losing battle. Response reading, what's crazy about it is that Genshin and other Hoyoverse games aren't even affected by the strike in the first place. The English VAs chose not to record because they wanted higher payments or something like that, with someone else saying it's much more complicated than that. And then a different user responding saying, no, it's not. SAG actors do what SAG does and strike because of AI, quote unquote, when in reality they want absolute control over MiHoYo projects. They hide behind a facade of AI protections. Hoyo already respects AI protections, and rally everyone, including non-union VAs. When their lies were uncovered, the higher-ups at SAG conveniently started enforcing their global Rule 1. Union actors cannot work on union projects.
It was great. They made fun of everybody. To be fair, they made fun of everybody in Ghost Stories. It was great. It was hating on literally everybody. It was great.
You mean on non-union projects, I think, but continuing. Holding the VAs.
Oh my God, that one was even worse than the Shiratami one.
Want to go back to work hostage, it's not that complicated. The SAG VAs just tell you it's complicated to have you feel pity for SAG, when in fact, they are the problem. Another response to the initial tweet reading, who was fighting a losing battle? This is SAG's attempt to strong-arm a foreign company into complying with the scummiest contract I've ever seen. Hoyoverse has been incredibly patient with the strike. If anyone is fighting a losing battle, it's SAG. Hoyo.
I think at this point, like, Hoyo needs to, like, maybe just go scorched earth. I feel like I feel like this is never gonna go away until they just go
that
scorched
seemed to
earth.
have upset someone else as they say, let's defend the billion-dollar company together, guys, let's go. To which that other user responds saying, if you actually read into it, in this situation, Hoyoverse is in the right. This is something that we've discussed a number of times in the past too, how SAG-AFTRA and a number of the union VAs have come off so unlikable that people are actually defending the corporation in this example, something that is very rare, but that SAG-AFTRA and those VAs managed to accomplish through how unlikable they are. Congratulations. We'll take a look at a few more examples here. This one saying, it was revealed by Rio's...
You know what the funny thing is they're never gonna hire people that are even like, they're gonna look into people that they hire from now on, and if they're union, they're just gonna say no, like straight up.
That it was just the VA's own
that's gonna
volition
happen.
to strike in hopes of getting Hoyo to sign that for better treatment. The better treatment being the agreement that
literally blacklisting themselves. Yeah, exactly. Engineer Watkins.
Really, bad agreement for Hoyoverse and bad for non-union VAs. It was a group effort done by them, the union VAs, rather than being orchestrated by SAG-AFTRA, since Hoyo games weren't supposed to be involved. Joe Zija referring to this action as a collective work refusal. The current video game strike, the official one by SAG-AFTRA, is against a number of major Western gaming companies. According to my recollection, companies such as Electronic Arts, Warner Brothers, etc., etc. Now, it does seem like SAG-AFTRA is involved on some level, aside from just having their members involved with the collective work refusal against Hoyoverse games.
It's kind of weird because like these unions, they can only exist if they have a monopoly on power. That's it. Because they're so bullshit. In a lot of cases, they're still, well, like at least modern day unions. Obviously, I'm not saying like all unions are like this, but like a lot of modern day unions, they only have power because they have they only are relevant because of their monopoly on power. Basically, they don't offer anything really. They're just garbage.
We have seen them trying to act as a mediator.
Yeah, me too. I've been in a union before too, and it was fucking ass. And in fact, I remember saying like, "Can I just not join the union?" They're like, "Nope, you have to join it." I'm like, "But I don't want to join it. I don't want to pay them." And they're like, "No, you have to." I'm like, "Fuck." It's like I had to.
A middleman of sorts with getting the work refusals demands sent over to Hoyoverse and asking Hoyoverse to sign said demands. Some people speculate that they have more involvement, some less, but factually, from what we have seen, they are at the very least trying to get this whole like contract forwarded and signed by Hoyo. Ultimately, whatever the case may or may not be, it is still important to remember that SAG is a union built by its members. So by default, by talking about SAG-AFTRA, you are still also talking about its members. Some people try to draw like a very clear distinction between the union and the VAs, but the union is made up of the VAs. Now, if we go into further detail, of course, there's like a hierarchy, so to speak, with some members not having much involvement. Maybe they just vote here and there. Others are bringing in significant amount of money and get things like healthcare benefits, but around 85% of members, according to my recollection, don't qualify for the minimum income to get benefits. So there's like varying degrees here, of course. And then there's people who are voted in to have like these executive positions at the union and whatnot.
This sounds like a fucking pyramid scheme.
Though, it is ultimately made up of the members, and some of those are actors, some voice actors. You get the point. What's interesting is when you see lots of people trying to put all the blame on SAG-AFTRA itself and act like the VAs are all innocent when, as we just discussed, the union is built up of its members. And furthermore, as you can see here and elsewhere on the internet, such as Reddit, etc., some people try and cite Erica, the VA for Venti, as proof that SAG is forcing VAs to do certain things and that they don't have free will of their own. For example, this comment that reads, VAs that are part of the union could get blacklisted by SAG-AFTRA if they continue to work. Venti's VA confirmed they are being sent threatening emails by the union. There's a lot more to it, but yeah, VAs are not the main people to blame. Well, in some cases they are. In some cases
they are. Like obviously, right?
Outspokenly bootleg.
Yeah, if they go out and they're making like public statements, like attacking like other people, then like obviously they're to blame, right?
The union and harass people like Jacob Takanashi.
That's not what's happening here.
Absolutely, the VAs are.
That's not what's happening here. It's not like SAG was like, this needs to be a union project, and then everybody just took fucking they just took incidental fire. They put themselves out there. They literally like stood up and got.
Also to blame because they're enabling
basically
the predatory behavior going on at SAG-AFTRA and harassing people who would stand up to SAG-AFTRA. And this is something that has also happened to Venti's VA. So I find it kind of messed up actually that this person is mentioning Erica here, the VA for Venti, but only mentioning the threatening letters part because it helps their argument as they try to paint all the VAs out as like innocent when Venti's VA Erica actually got harassed by other VAs on Blue Sky when she began.
SAG-AFTRA sucks. They're trying to make money off of James Earl Jones' AI voice. Yeah, I heard about that. I'm kind of scared to watch anything about it though because let's just see. I've seen many clips. And I don't know about watching that on stream, but yeah, I did hear that. Like, I don't know too much about it, but I did hear that like SAG was trying to like get money from it, which is kind of crazy. Also, like, am I the only one? Hold on, is this real? I swear to God, this was a real thing. Oh my God, it is real. It is real. James, I remember seeing this. Did you guys know that there's an audiobook of James Earl Jones reading the entire Bible? Did you guys know that that's real?
Matthew, chapter 1. The book of the generation of Jesus Christ.
That's so weird.
Exposed SAG. And those VAs were even saying things like Erica deserves to get those letters, and they were trying to downplay them, being like, oh, the letters aren't threatening. This is just what happens. Erica deserves this. So give Erica the credit that she deserves for going up against the corrupt VAs and their corrupt union, and stop enabling the predatory behavior. All right, now let's get some blue sky anger. We've got this post that says, I've been hearing murmurings that the English voices for Stelle and Caelus and Honkai Star Rail have been recast. Regardless of whether that's true, I just need to reiterate my disappointment in the fandom response. That so many people are so ghoulish as to not care about the livelihoods of the VAs that literally give voice to the main characters of their favorite game, because how dare they have to play a game
See, I'll let them finish.
for a few months missing some voice acting. I mean, that's part of it, but you're also ignoring how people just didn't like being...
Yes, it's just people don't agree with the way that they're going about this. So yeah, people don't care.
manipulated by VAs that were lying to them about their demands, what they're trying to do to Hoyo and non-uni VAs. It's
like
funny
I said,
how
they lost
this
all
is
of
so
their
often
goodwill.
left out by people who are trying to always defend the strike and SAG. They are mindless, petulant black holes of content consumption, and I can't stay. It won't make a difference, but I won't be giving Hoyo any more of my time. It's time to drop Honkai Star Rail and all of Mihoyo's other games. You can see they open with their rage post here with a really gross analogy, and then go on to say, quote, the voice actor union is actually bad, unquote, if you don't get bent. So are they just defending SAG there? Is that what they're trying to get at, I guess? Quote, they aren't grateful, unquote. Dude, it's a job, you know, the thing neither of us have. And then they get really mad at this post in particular. Looks like it's from Reddit, where this person says, Hoyo has shown more patience than nearly other companies who would fire anyone not working, especially when there is no official union strike against any Hoyo games.
I would.
It's unfortunate that it's come to this, but I'm not surprised by the decision after all being unvoiced for so long. Response reading, especially since
I would have fired them turbo fast.
Honkai Star Rail is a game with 8 hours story patch every patch. It genuinely hurts their whole game because it ruins some people's immersion on the story. They simply can't wait any longer since we're closing on the ending of the first half of Amorphous. Actually that's Amphorious, I think, my bad. They closed their rant by saying, I don't write about games much anymore except for my own blogs, so I feel okay making fun of these people. Well, I mean, all we really got out...
You feel okay at making fun of these people? Then everyone, you better be okay with people making fun of you too.
This is that you're defending a corrupt union, so congratulations, I guess. But look at this. Elsewhere on Blue Sky, there were some people actually defending Hoyoverse. For example, this person says, at this point, voice actors getting recast like that in Hoyo games don't feel so surprising. It just feels so hurtful that they can just throw people away like that. All they want is protection. Is it that hard, Sigh? Well, once again, we know they want a lot more than that.
Do these people... I'm so confused. Do they just not listen to like the other side of the argument at all? Like, do they not... Like, how do they still think this is a protection issue? Like, how is that even possible? Like...
But this response says...
Like, do they just not listen to like the counter argument at all? Like,
happened when you refuse to work for no valid and official reason. In this exchange, we can see someone says,
a literal head in the sand.
As much as I didn't want it to happen, they withheld work. It was bound to happen. It's been ridiculous to not have the main character voiced since 2.6, 4 patches.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's a long
celebrating losing
time.
the roles, but I am happy to finally have the character voiced again. No hate their way.
By the way, that's how the average like consumer probably feels about it. The average player probably is like, I just want my game to work. I want it to work and I want to enjoy it. I don't care about this shit, you know?
Or the new VAs. Ignoring the fact that most video games went on voice/minimal VAing back in the day just so you can rip on people's livelihoods is real rich. Bro, this person was so respectful about it, and this guy is still getting
Ignoring the fact that most video games went unvoiced minimal VAing from back in the day, just so you can rip off on people's livelihood, just to rip on people's livelihoods is rich. I hope you lose
was still getting like enraged, like seething over it. Oh my gosh, it gets worse. Look at this. I hope you lose your job to AI one day, and I hope AI prevents you from finding another one. Holy smokes, dude. The SAG after.
Honestly, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I love when they crash out like this. I love when they like go full mask off. They just pull the mask off and they just crash out. It's the best because it shows exactly the kind of people that they are. They always act like they're the nicest people. Ask anyone online, we're the nicest people. I care so much, and then like the instant they don't get their way, the fucking mask comes off and they go full fucking vile. And it's I love it. Keep doing it.
Bootlickers are crazy. They're always so like mad and weird sounding, man. What are you on about? I know you are.
Is this like remember when the election happened and people started being like super racist against freaking Mexicans? Like all those people are like, yeah, like they're all dumb, they're all stupid. I was like, it was like so peak. Oh my god.
Talking about that strike against MiHoYo, and back in the day, my guy, the strike hasn't even passed a year. I know critical thinking is hard for kids these days, but we can't hold your hand through it anymore. Not that I expect much from a selfish redacted. Bro, are you stupid? You didn't even make a point to begin with. Go ahead and reread what I wrote and come up with something that actually is relevant to what I
know critical thinking is hard for kids these days.
Well, actually, I know critical thinking is hard for kids these days, but we can't hold your hand through it anymore. I'm just so smart. I know everything. Not that I expect much from a selfish prick.
said. Instead of digging up
Unreal.
insults, you dunce. One last thing we'll take a look at here. Do you remember months back near the beginning of this whole situation?
Actually, I'm an intellectual. I know a lot about the world.
When a number of VAs went to Reddit to try
I watch Adam Knows Everything and John Oliver. I know everything.
and defend
And Bill Nye the Science Guy.
SAG-AFTRA and the strike by continuing to spread a false narrative to which people on Reddit called them out. So
The intellectuals are speaking. Please sit down and listen. Trust the experts. I'm the expert.
some simply
I watched it on HBO.
asking questions, and these VAs responded by either dodging and not answering and or blocking people, giving like manipulative lies as a response, to which they got mass downvoted. Well, we'll take a look at this comment from 2 months ago really quick and you'll see why in a second. It reads, they can't see it on Blue Sky. I asked a few of them to clarify and they called me names, said I was anti-worker and pro-billion-dollar company, and blocked me. Kit Harrison, Cher Kirby both did, since I was replying to a thread where they were both in. Blue Sky isn't great as a safe space for the vileness of Twitter, but I think a lot of people...
I remember there's a freaking Bill Nye episode, like the new Bill Nye the Science Guy show about gender stuff. And like, it was really weird because like I watched Bill Nye when I was a kid. And I remember like Bill Nye did a whole episode about the differences between boys and girls. It's so weird. Like it's
more
like
like
so
a
weird.
blog on social media. The reason we're taking a look at this
how
again
much
is
has
because I was
changed?
thinking of a number of the VAs who were on Reddit trying to defend the strike and all that stuff, and I did recall Kit Harrison. So I went over to Blue Sky to Kit Harrison's account to see if he had anything to say about the recent recasts. And there actually wasn't anything that I saw. Doesn't seem like
I
he's
think they
talking
know
about it.
now
But
that
there
they
is
can't
one
say
thing
anything.
that I thought was rather interesting and give some insight onto the VA work. That being this post where he talks about money. The context is, he says, 2 days ago, was driving home yesterday and a pheasant flew headlong into my wing mirror from the side. Heck of a shock. You shouldn't dwell on these things, but if I was driving at any different speed, it would have been way, way worse. Watch out for low-flying birds, kids. First of all, bro, sucks what happened to your car, but that takes us to the quote that he made of that post where he adds onto it saying, Arg, 75 euros for a new wing mirror and 450 euros for a new door window. Anyone needs circa 1 hour of high quality voice acting. So you're telling me these guys actually get paid? Like this guy is trying to get paid what is like close to $600 USD for an hour of voice acting? And no offense to this guy, but he's not exactly a household name. Doesn't exactly have like a big credit list here, and still wants like 600 USD around an hour of VA work. Is that
That's
really what
kind
these
of a
people
lot,
are
yeah.
trying to charge? That's just crazy in my opinion. So yeah, please let me know what you guys think about that. Am I reading that wrong, or is he really trying to charge like just about 600 USD for an hour of VA work? And it takes me back too really quick to something I covered months ago where there was the what was that? What was that creepypasta thing? Ben Drowned.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
Like,
the
I
creator-
guess it depends on like the prestige, but it seems like from the videos that there wasn't. So you would have to factor in for a voice actor. You'd have to factor in not only the acting element, but you'd have to factor in the brand, right? Because, for instance, in Hollywood, there's a lot of actors that get paid a lot because their name brings a lot of like recognition to like the project. So like, I don't know how much that factor. It didn't seem like it would be much with him though, right? I don't know.
Ben Drowned put out a like ad.
I don't know enough about it.
Needing some background voices
to make like
and
a
bunch
real
of people on Twitter were mad at what he
there.
was trying to pay, asking for like hundreds of dollars just to say a few lines. And that sounds so crazy then. But apparently, yeah, these people really do think they should get like paid hundreds for a few lines.
I got paid $300 an hour for game design consulting before, so I can see it.
Or like 600 for an hour.
See, but the thing is I didn't want to do it.
I don't know.
When they wanted me to consult for a video game, I didn't actually want to do it. That's why I said I was like, oh, I'll do it for $300, and they were like, okay, and I was like, all right, fine.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't think it's a great look, but maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't think I am, but if I am,
I'll do it. I'll do a good job for $300.
About
but
all the stuff, including that little bonus at the end. Little insight into the VA stuff here.
okay, I guess it wasn't really the finale. So like this, I thought it was the Genshin people that got kicked out, but I guess not. So they're all still there. So anyway.